Ken Paxton is arguably, allegedly, one of the most corrupt politicians in America. He's the Attorney General of Texas, the chief law enforcement officer of the state. And, you know, he's facing some serious charges. Has been able to put off the trial and you know, for some time as Attorney General and whatnot. But he's got some very strange ideas. He just requested medical records from a Georgia clinic about any people that they may have treated for gender dysphoria, for, you know, in other words, helping people make a transition, trans people. He requested the transgender youth medical records from Queer Med, which is based in Decatur, Georgia. This is a telehealth provider. It was founded by a fellow by the name of Izzy Lowell. And Izzy told the Washington Post on Sunday, quote, "This request from the Texas Attorney General is a clear attempt to intimidate providers of gender-affirming care and parents and families that seek that care outside of Texas and other states with bans." What Paxton is doing here is he's trying to attack families in Texas who have trans kids or trans members, trans people in Texas, by going to other states to get their private medical documents. Now, Queer Med says, no way we're going to comply with this. We have HIPAA behind us. First time that corrupt Ken, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, has done this. He did the same thing with a hospital in Seattle a couple of months ago. We reported on this program, demanding that they share with him all of their patient records of people who might have come from Texas, who might have gone to Seattle, to Washington State, to get care. Now, the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, the Endocrine Society of America, and other major American medical institutions all support gender-affirming care. The American Academy of Pediatrics has described such care as, quote, medically necessary and appropriate, even for some minors. But, you know, Queer Med, actually they got the letter back in November. They didn't respond to it until just recently because there was a fire at their offices. Yes, it was arson. Somebody tried to burn them out. I mean, this is just how awful this whole thing is. I would remind you that when Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, within 2 weeks, the first group that he went after was not the Jews, it was not the gypsies, it was not the communists, it was not the socialists, it wasn't the trade union members or the church. The first group Hitler went after was trans people. That famous picture of the books being, that giant pile of books being burned, that's outside a medical institute in Berlin that was the world's leading institute looking into trans care. They were the first place in the world to have actually performed trans surgery. Those were the books. They were the books on trans, on sexuality generally, but specifically on helping trans people. Those were the books that the Nazis burned in the second week of Hitler's presidency or Hitler's chancellorship. Demagogues, people who are looking for, you know, who are not interested in doing the will of the people. I mean, traditionally, politicians get elected and hold power by one of two ways. Either they do what people want. Well, that hasn't been happening for the better part of, what, since Obama passed Obamacare, I guess, you know, for quite some time. Well, you know, actually, it has happened during the Biden administration. But prior to the Biden administration, that hasn't happened in a long time, doing what people want. The other way politicians get elected is scaring the hell out of people about their opponent. Oh, if my opponent is elected, the economy will crash. If my opponent is elected, the world will be in a war. I mean, both parties have done this. The Democrats did it against Barry Goldwater in '64. Perhaps legitimately. You know, yes, he would like a nuclear war. He has no problems with that. So here we are. The incredibly corrupt Attorney General, allegedly corrupt Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, reaching out to other states, in this case, Georgia and Washington State, demanding personal, private medical records. Meanwhile, the war on trans people down in Florida, again, you know, go after the minority, right? If you're a politician and you're looking for a minority to go after, you're some kind of demagogue politician, you have no interest in doing what the people want because you're wholly owned by a couple of billionaires, and so all you can vote in favor of is things that expand fossil fuel production because the billionaires make their money that way, or cut taxes on rich people, right? Well, that's not enough to get you elected. So, you know, here you are, you're a politician, and you're looking for some way to get your name in the headlines and get people to go, oh, yeah, okay, he's on our side. What do? You find the minority with the smallest constituency. If you go after Hispanics, hey, that's 18% of America. You go after black people, hey, that's 13% of America. You go after trans people, that's less than 1% of America. I mean, even going after gay men, 3-4% of America, lesbian women, probably around the same. You're going to get some pushback. You go against trans people, most trans people are just living their lives, trying to keep their heads down. Most of them would prefer people didn't even realize that they were trans. They're just passing. It's a very personal thing. And it is literally, well, I shouldn't say literally the smallest minority in America. I'm sure there are people who both collect stamps and have more than 10 dogs. That's got to be a minority, right? I mean, there are other minorities, right? But in terms of, how you were born, who you are, what your identity is, this is the smallest identifiable minority that is going to fight back, that is going to try to preserve, because this is who they are, and thus makes a delicious target for demagogues and asses like Ken Paxton, who want to try to build a political reputation on tearing down other people's lives. And now it's moving to Florida. Down in Florida, and DeSantis, Ron DeSantis is no longer even running for president. I mean, now I guess he's running for president in 2028 now. But, DeSantis and his Republicans down in Florida, they have the Florida Public Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles has just rescinded a policy that dates back to a previous administration that allows people to change their gender on their driver's license. So now if you're trans and you're passing as a woman, you're living as a woman, as a trans person, as a trans woman in Florida, but you were born a man, and it could be the other way around too, obviously, and you got your driver's license changed, so now it says you're a woman, and you get stopped by the police, and the police say, I'm not sure you're a woman. Pull down your pants, or whatever they say. And it turns out that, biologically you were born as a man. The police can arrest you now in Florida and prosecute you for fraud, for violating the state's law about lying about your gender on your driver's license. They can throw you into jail. This is, as one of the, this is happening all over. This is a Florida Board of Medicine's ban on transgender care. Governor Glenn Youngkin up in Virginia has directed through the Board of Education to ban transgender bathroom usage. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey's efforts to target adult transgender care. But Florida becomes the first state to actually criminalize having your gender identity on your driver's license. They could suspend your driver's license. They could revoke your driver's license during traffic stops. You could face legal challenges. It instantly criminalizes transgender people who thought they did the right thing by changing their gender on their driver's license, because that's who they are and that's how they're living now. This also could be used to enforce the Florida bathroom laws. This is the world that the Republican Party is bringing us, because they don't want to expand Social Security, they don't want to expand Medicare, they don't want to have a national increase in the minimum wage, they don't want more people to be able to get on Medicaid, they don't want the child income tax credit so that lifting children out of poverty, they don't want to improve our public schools, they want to tear them down, they don't want people to have free college, they don't want to do anything about the environment. So what are they running on? Oh, let's trash some trans people. This is sick.